Hey there, it's that time of month. We're here at 5Market Realty. We like to get out our Athens-focused real estate market update. It's December 2nd, Friday afternoon, and a lot of these numbers we're going to go through are really telling a tale of the real estate market in 2022. And one of the things we will look back at and discuss with you today is when did the market peak and some good news coming for home buyers. We provide these updates and give you information on Athens area real estate, the surrounding counties, and really what's going on, even if you're not in the market. But it's really helpful for people that are, and we stay connected with a lot of people in the industry through our lenders, appraisers, and things. Be sure to click subscribe, and you'll be notified when we have more listings or another update video. So just as I was referring to, when did the market peak and good news coming for home buyers? So if you give me a little bit of time, I'm going to run through some numbers for you and give you some information that we've seen over the course of the year and expect to see. Moving my head a little bit out of the way. If you follow these videos before, you understand we like to go back and look at certain things like new listings, homes sold, the total amount, the average home sale price, days on market. We track it back 3 years, year to date, and then we like to look at the month compared to the same month of the last year. Here are the numbers for 2020 and 2021. As I've alluded to before, those numbers, we need to start realizing those were not real statistics that we should expect to continue. And what we're seeing now in 2022, we don't want to quite see it this low either. So we'd like to be somewhere in that Goldilocks porridge in between what we're dealing with now and what was 2021. So as you can see now, we had new listing 2005. This is from the classic MLS, and this was as of December 1st, down almost 18% over 2021. Days on market year to date maintains to be pretty low at 27, but you'll see on the next slide, when you compare it to the month, it's starting to tick up. And then average home sale price up about 18% at 418 for the combined counties, but at 17, 18% appreciation, that's actually a rollback from what we saw earlier where we were seeing over 20%. So we're kind of seeing that 5 to 10% range of a rollback of price. And then total homes sold, this is where people in our profession, the realtors and the mortgage brokers, are having less transactions. So we're seeing that be an indicator of what's going on too. It's not that the prices are really falling off compared to last year. So there's less transactions, and sometimes the price may not gotten as high as some as we had hoped after March. Now let's go look at November. And this is where we're starting to see some subtle differences as we just look at the month. So look here, we've got 93 new listings in Clark and Oconee County. Keep in mind, this is the classic MLS. We're not counting other statewide MLS or listing service. It doesn't include a for sale by owner, but that's down over 30% from last year. The days on market is starting to tick up a little bit respectively. Yeah, compared to November, but we've been in the 20s a lot. Now we're over 32 in this month, and that's actually probably a better sign for home buyers. This is one of the biggest things we're going to note to you and kind of show you here too. Look at this home price. Most of the months we're always looking, the average home sale price has been above the year before. And right now it's showing us flat. Now that doesn't mean that property values have really gone down. It means that the homes that are selling are probably less at a lower price point, because the higher homes, the high-end homes, there's not as much of a market as there was. Now, as we look at total homes sold, 95 homes sold as of December 1st, Clark and Oconee County in the Athens Area MLS. Probably a few more than that, obviously, but those are the numbers we have. Now, these are the graphs that kind of help you give a visual aid of what we're talking about. Won't spend too much time here because I just ran over the numbers with you. But as you can see, we're still relatively down in listings and sales, 17.8, 26%. We'll go here as well, pointing out that it's still 26. We've seen that kind of stick around. We've been about that 26, 27, 30% number relatively behind the year before. Now, this is the new listing of homes in the month of November. And obviously it's behind 2021, but it's so significantly behind 2020. And, those days, as I'm going to show you in a few graphs, kind of what I'm referring to as fairy tale real estate, because we started to feel it as the norm of all this activity, and it's really not. We shouldn't have as less activity as we do now, but that amount of activity back then was really historic. And because we're coming out of the pandemic in November of 2020, that's why that is so significantly more than it is right now. Let's keep going here. And this is a graph that I started a long time ago. It's one of the original graphs when we did these videos, but it tracks the listings by month. And you're looking at red being 2022, green and blue being 2020 and 2021. So as you can see here, pandemic is the blue of April. And look how much that pandemic mimics what happened this past April of 2022. We saw the rise in interest rates, the inventory started going down. And then look at 2021. This is the fairy tale land where we had all this listings and all this activity. And then they both started to mirror each other in September down through December, those 2 years. But look at the red line. As I've shown you many times, we are significantly behind 2022, any of those years. And that's where, as I alluded to before, there's less transactions. It's not as if the market's really bad. There's still a lot of opportunity, but we are starting to see some things shift that might give buyers a lot of opportunity coming here right now and into the early new year. So Let's go to this next slide. This is what I was referring to, active homes for sale. So this is from the Clark and Oconee County, Athens MLS, active homes, not active contingent. July 5th, we were below 120, and then we shot up. And what's going on here, as you saw before, I pointed out, we're not getting a bunch of new listings. The absorption rate of the homes is slowing down. And we're going to point out some of that and the interest rates in a second. So what that means is we have less demand, not because people aren't going to plan to buy next year, but because there's been a little bit of anxiety out there with how fast the interest rates went up. Obviously, that's affecting the affordability of homes, and that's something to consider. But we've got some good news coming there too. So monthly total sales, I mean, look at November. We just said we had 95 as of December 1st in our MLS, tracking way down, getting back to 2021. If you look here, February, March, April, May, all the way into September, that's what I'm referring to as the fairy tale world of real estate it was in 2021 during that time. Now, months of inventory, good news. Okay, we have been so far behind this line. Up here above my head is 6. 6 is a neutral market. So you can see we went up and down 3 months, down to 2 months, up to 3, down to 2. At one point in June, we had 1 month supply of homes. Then we started coming up, we flattened, and now here in September, October, November, we have just steadily risen in the supply of homes because we have less buyers currently in the market. Homes have been sitting, the ones that are overpriced generally. And sometimes that overprice isn't a large amount. It can be a difference of $10,000 would get a house off the market just because of that 7 to 10% rollback we've seen from what might have been our peak pricing point, April-ish, March of this year. And this is what I want to show you too. This is the big point. So when did the market peak? When is the inflection point of the market? This is talking about the monthly average home sale price comparing to the same month the year before. Clark and Oconee County, sourced out of the classic MLS. You see this gray bar being the year before, the year after was always above the red. And that's been that way for a long time that we were consistently seeing that. And it's comparing it just to the sales in that month. Last month in October was the only month in a long time that we saw that trend reverse. And I was very curious to see what would happen in November. And now we are neck and neck. 390, if you recall, was the average home sale price. Now, what that means is it doesn't mean home prices are falling down. It means less homes are selling at the higher ranges and there's less activity. So that's bringing more opportunity to buyers. And as you can see, pointed out again right there, well, it's probably going to continue for a few months. And as we get into February, March, April, we're going to see some of those homes over 500 start selling again in the market. This is some other good news that I wanted to talk to you about. Correlation we've done before about the 10-year treasury rate and mortgage rates. So as you can see right here, this is going back to July. We did this once before. And if you follow the treasury rate, which is the gray line down here, you can see its correlation to the mortgage rate above it at red. So what this tracks is where that was going back to July, August, and then what was probably the height of it was right here in October, that slow month, and then where we went back and was the first month we saw that inflection. So at one point, rates were well above 7%, and this was almost the highest point of the 10-year treasury rate at 4.25. Well, since then, we've started to trend down a little bit, and as of today, one of the most recent postings of the 10-year treasury was 3.57, which is significantly down from 4.25. My point here is the interest rate fear that we've been having may have already, most of it be behind us. Nobody has a crystal ball, but I can tell you that I'm starting to see the phone ring more, and I'm seeing buyers have real opportunities that they didn't have before to find a little bit of closing costs. Actually look at 5 homes instead of all having to compete over one. So if you're thinking about getting in the market, it might be better than you've been being told in the news, and you might want to talk to a mortgage lender. Lastly, if you're a home seller, the values are still significantly up over a year ago. They just didn't go to the moon. They got into outer space and they're still really strong, but they're not all the way to Mars yet. So that's what you need to realize is that the market in reality is doing a little better than we think. We just have less transactions. And, I like to end here because I want to make sure you focus on our group and just not myself. We got our updated picture. You can reach one of our agents at info@5M Realty and our phone number. This is a great group, and we're not a big company, and that's by design. But I'm going to brag on these people one more time. I've done it before. I did the numbers. When you're talking about 95 home sales in Clark and Oconee County, and I looked at what our agents did, we were involved in almost 13% of all the transactions. We are not a large corporate firm. That is not who we are. There's nothing wrong with those. We don't have 100 agents. This group of people right here is doing business. They're not focused on social media slides. They're not focused on all the other things. They're focused on helping their clients and, most importantly, helping each other get things done in this difficult market. So if you've got something you need to do, buy a home, sell a home, something you're planning for 2023, info@5M Realty, we can connect you with one of these people. They have great local vendors that can kind of get you on the right path. I hope you have a great holiday season. And it's Friday before the SEC championship. I don't know what's going to happen, but I will give you a big old go Dogs. Have a great week.